Hello, and welcome to Table Talk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D hosted by three boys in a bedroom. If you like their style, you can follow them on Instagram, YouTube, and other social media platforms. And now, back to the boys.
Okay, Drew, you were just bringing up that they're getting rid of the Messenger app. Explain.
Yes. Okay. So they're getting, and let me phrase it correctly because it's not going away. The Messenger app itself will no longer be able to be used. You can get on Facebook and then toggle over to Messenger, but I don't want to do that. I use Messenger for not only D&D stuff. I use Messenger for all kinds of stuff. Messenger like my parents. I message my buddies. My gaming group chats in there, right? If I have to log all the way into Facebook, I might swap to Discord or just like passenger pages or something. I don't know.
I only use Messenger to message the five of you.
Really?
I don't use it for anything else. I only use it to message the five of you. Previously, Messenger. So for the audience, Drew and I recorded. We graduated together in 2020, so it's been a while, right?
Mm-hmm,
And back then, our friends and everybody would set up group chats at college on Messenger, and we would get stuck in them, and you'd have to mute them because you would get too many notifications all the time. It became a big problem. So, likewise, we followed the trend, and when we created our D&D group, 8 years ago, we jumped onto to Messenger, and that's where we've had our group chat ever since. It's called Lulu and the Fuzzy Bunch. Every campaign, everybody names their themselves after their characters. And that's how we've been messaging for D&D for the past 8 years. So this is big news. This is huge. We are probably going to have to just use our Discord channel because we do our whole sessions in Discord. We did use Messenger for a few sessions, and it was awful.
It's like trying to use Roll20's video and audio options. It's like, why would you do that when you have Discord?
Yeah, Discord is fundamentally better.
Okay, but here's the problem though. Been using Discord for years. I'm not savvy, but I understand the Discord, right?
The Discord.
I kind of hate Discord.
Why?
Not gonna lie to you. I don't know. I don't like the setup. I feel like it's not user friendly. I still try to get in there once in a while and try to do something like set up a new channel. And it's like, how am I supposed to do this? I think it's complicated.
See,
but
you say that, but I come from the PC gaming days of having to use TeamSpeak, where you had to like actually go in there and create a server, and it's just like a little text box basically, and it just showed, in Discord how it'll show everybody who pops in, we're able to do this, record this right now, and see each other just fine. No, TeamSpeak, you would have to like just click connect and then choose the server, and then it would just throw you right in. And I used to do that with my buddies all the time. They were just like, yeah, we're gonna use TeamSpeak. Hey, I'll text you all the stuff, and they texted me all the stuff, and I jumped in on there to play like Call of Duty Zombies.
So it's like a Roll20 link to get everyone your games. Like, oh, here, we're all going to jump in right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird, man.
Yeah, and so I actually find Discord incredibly user-friendly, especially because it is so, like, plug and play when it comes to the session, where it's like, oh, well, we just all hop in, we all turn our video on, I just move it to the side, and we're good to go. So I do agree it's not as simple as, like texting on it. I don't do any text chats. Like if we were talking in there, it would confuse me that it's coming through Discord because I'm used to getting messages on Messenger and I'm used to playing D&D on Discord. And I'm used to doing like, voice chats and stuff on Discord. So I think yes, it would be an adjustment, but I mean, probably after 1 month I'd be used to it.
Yeah. I really think it's what we're going to have to do. I don't see an alternative. I am not logging to the Facebook app every time. I don't know if I have the Facebook app on my phone.
I have it just for Marketplace. If I go on there and I'm looking for something, like I bought one of my 3DSs on Marketplace on there. I've sold a few things on Marketplace on there. But no, I don't even, like, if I open it up and I see a post, I immediately get depressed. Like, it's like the second that the text pops up on the screen, my mood like goes to 25% of what it was.
That's terrible, but it's true. It's true though. I've joked with you before. It's like I'm at work and I'm swapping tabs. Right, I need to open like a new browser to check a vendor portal or something, maybe. Right, so you open it up and you get that 2 seconds of news page. It was like somebody died today. Great, I'm so happy. move on. I don't want to hear this right now. I'm trying to work.
Yeah, and like right now, I think my tab, every time I click over one, it'll give me like deals on computer parts because of the time when I was like building my computer. It'll be like, hey, check out this monitor. It's $500 off. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then like right next to it is like the worst political post you could possibly see. And I go, why are we putting these two things next to each other? Something I like that I don't need that I'm not going to buy. And then something I absolutely hate.
Well, they have to balance out. They want to make you happy, so you get those happy purchases, but they also want to piss you off. So you get those rage posts, right? Did you ever see the? I'm hoping you did the video by I think is it Ryan George that does all the what are those videos called? Oh, it's gonna elude me now. He does like the first time this happened, like someone named fruits.
Oh
You know?
yeah,
Like,
I think we watched some of
Apple.
those together.
Yeah, he's got some good ones, but the one I'm thinking of now is it's like the YouTube algorithm or something, and he watches a video because he has to fix his door. And it's like it's squeaking, so he watches a video on how to fix his door, and then for the rest of the time, he's like, "Yeah, I just want to hang out, want to watch something good." It's like, "How about this?" And it's some guy fixing a door. It's like, "No, I don't want to watch. I already fixed the door. I don't need it anymore." It's pretty good stuff.
I want to know what other groups have weird things they've done that they've just always done that they now have to like that they might have to change in the future. Like we've always had Messenger, right? And I see Messenger as extremely dated. I don't really. It's a service that I don't care that it's getting removed because I think I don't use it for anything else except for the one niche thing that we happen to have.
Easy.
Yeah, it is super easy. But I want to know what other things there are. Like, oh, well, we know that Josh always just happens to show up with a 2-liter of Diet Pepsi, and I can't play D&D without my 2-liter of Diet Pepsi from now on.
It's like a little tidbit. Like I can't possibly play D&D without this.
Yeah,
this
it's like
one
you start
thing.
to play and you're like, this isn't really the same. I don't think that equates to the same as Messenger, but like I don't
No,
know.
but I can see it.
Or maybe someone uses like the Google Dice Roller thing. You know what I mean? And like if they
Dice roller.
yeah, like if you look up
like
Dice
just the
Roller
one
and it
you look up?
yeah, and it shows it in the search bar. So maybe someone uses that as their dice, and then one day they
Right.
look it up and it's not there. What like imagine?
If you're out there listening and using the Google Dice Roller, quit playing D&D.
Actually, send
outta
a
here.
message to tabletalkfriday@gmail.com and we'll send you a set of dice.
I do have plenty of dice. It may be a set of 6 and not 7.
Oh, I was just gonna
I'll
get
send
him
you.
like the set of like 15 on Black Friday sales on Amazon and just send it straight to him.
That's what I should do to reset my stock, because I do have a bunch of little somehow like one dice missing, or one D4, one D6 is gone, so it ruins the whole set. I could just buy the biggest set of dice possible on Black Friday.
I just
reset
have
everything.
the dice trays that came with different D&D box sets, and all of my dice are sitting in one tray on my desk at all times.
I can't do it. That would drive me crazy. All
No,
the
I
colors
like
are
it.
mixing up.
I know I
They
like
have
it
to-
because
They
I'll
have
think
to be
about
perfectly isolated.
I'll think about the character that I'm like playing as or something like that, and I'll just grab the dice out randomly and start rolling. Or it makes it really easy to switch out like mid-session. Oh, you have like a fully kitted out like little toolbox. That's
Yes,
like
this-
what some people have for their magic decks. They have like 10 commander decks in a toolbox, and that's what they carry around.
10 decks?
Yeah. I mean, I have
What do
like
you 10 decks for?
I have 9.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy to think. I built back in the day. I think I built like 3, and it took me I'm slow at everything, but it took me forever to build those 3 decks. And I have no intention of ever building another one. That was it.
What's different is when we go to like events like pre-releases and stuff like that, you end up with a bunch of cards, right? And there were days when I was in training that I would sit down after getting out. I would face call. Jesus.
Face call.
I would
let's go.
face call. No, I would FaceTime my wife, and I would just sit there and sort through cards. And so I would like just like go through them. I would set them all out, and I'd be like, oh, I've got an idea for this sort of deck that I want to make. And so I would just grab the card that I want to be the commander, slap it down on the table, and then for the next 2 days after like I was done with my day, I would just sit at my desk and sort through all the cards that would be good for it, throw it together. One time, my buddy was like, I was making a +1/+1 counter deck, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to take all the fun +1/+1 counter cards that I think look fun and just toss them into a deck, and then I'll work on it if it goes well. I'll go buy some cards for it if it goes well. So I sit down with my friend, and he's like, all right, I have this one that I think is maybe a little too strong, so I'm not going to play it. And then I have this one that I think will probably be a good test because it's not like that crazy. It's just a +1/+1 counter deck. So we'll see how it goes. And I proceeded to stomp him 4 games in a row with just random cards. And he was like, yeah, you did a pretty good job. And so he switched to the other one. And the strong suit of it was the commander. Like that's what really did it in, was the commander was really good in that deck. But yeah, it ended up being like a really good, I still have it and I still take it to some Magic nights and stuff and play with everybody with that same deck it was the first one I built from scratch where I was like, oh, I really like this commander. I'm just going to find cards for it. And it still does a really good job.
See, I had to change my brain really early in Magic because I'm never going to make the strongest deck. That's just not who I am. I'm going to end up just playing a deck that I really enjoy. And so I have to swap away from, it's not good enough, or like, it's going to stomp people. I just need to have fun with it. Like this, as long as I do this cool thing that just completely screws everyone else at the table for 2 turns, I'm good. You know?
Yeah, my cloud deck right now is still my favorite. It's an equipment deck, and my goal is to equip as many things to one creature as possible, and then I've been telling everybody at the table, hey, I have like a railgun right here. I have a sniper rifle. And the second anything happens to me, it's just going to fire someone down. I'm going to be wide open and die. But like, it's hexproof, indestructible. I'm just going to swing. It's like, it's got trample. So the second I swing, I can probably kill someone. But I'm wide open. It's my only creature.
But that's super fun though. Like as long as you knock one other person out, you win. That's it.
It's so much fun. And there have been games where I had lifelink on the one creature, so I was able to hit, gain enough life, take a ton of hits, hit, gain enough life, take a ton of hits, and then hit and kill everybody. I think
that's how you're using Aetherflux in?
No. This is a different one. Aetherflux is a different idea where it's a full equipment deck where this is Aetherflux Reservoir for anybody listening who plays Magic the Gathering. You can spend 50 life to use Iron Man's laser and destroy someone, 50 damage to them. So yeah, it's a different one where I'm usually paying life to do things is the theme of the deck. It's like paying life to resurrect things. So the goal is to pay life, use lifelink, get really high in life, and then blast them with Aetherflux Reservoir.
Just to feel good for a minute, and then you die.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
So, and that can lead to some tensions at the table if you knock someone out too early. There was one game that we played recently where a friend of ours, luckily the game was really quick, but we were doing three different teams of 2-headed giants. So it's 2, 2, and 2, and everybody's playing versus each other in a triangle. Fun. It was very fun. Now, we were on round 2 of it. We were just randomizing who was playing as partners. And so I was playing with one of our friends, and the two of us are like scheming. We're like, this is going to be crazy. We're like getting ready to like pop off. And then one of our friends pops down like 2 or 3 cards in a row and just goes, all right, and I do this, and you guys die. And we're like, oh, no. It's like turn 4 or 5. So like we just start, and we usually play, I don't know, like 8 to 10 turns. So it's like turn 4 or 5, and we're like, oh, no. And so we're out. And then now it's the beginning of the game, and we're just waiting around. And that did lead to, sometimes that leads to a little bit of little tensions there where we're like, we didn't want to lose there. Which I told him afterwards, I was like, dude, I was going to do the same to you as soon as possible. Like, I understand. I was ready to just swing out on you. Because I was building up my equipment sniper rifle, and the person who killed us was the first person that I was going to swing at. So,
they knew. They picked up the energy.
He knew because the game before I had thrown down like all my best cards because I got him in the same hand.
Oh God.
So
okay.
Speaking of tension to the table, right? We had a big session this week. And it did lead to me having to do a lot of debriefing after the session. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, I learned this recently through signing up for the whole start playing thing. The term debriefing when it comes to D&D refers to like after the session, having a talk about how things went, like making touches on like what could be better, making improvements, kind of getting feedback. And I had to do that after this last session a lot because I noticed at our table that not everybody was super thrilled about how our gigantic session went that, we had a lot of build up for. Now, Drew, can you explain to me what exactly happened in the session last week? Because it was a giant dumpster fire that I had a lot of fun DMing, and I know other players had a good time playing, but it was a lot. It was chaotic.
Would you call it a kitchen fire though? Would you say
I might would call it a kitchen fire.
So I don't even know if I can explain this. I'm gonna give it my best shot. We had hyped up this session, and I think we even talked about it in a previous episode how big this was going to be. It was
we had a whole session
maps.
explaining the giant dungeon, making a big dungeon.
Yes, this was going to be a huge dungeon. It was a big step for one of the largest maps we had ever seen, and we knew the stakes. Right, we are infiltrating the one of the big bad evil guys' lairs where he is. He's got dragons, he's got guards, he's got minions, and it's like this big fancy castle that we have to infiltrate. Right. So, hyped up, weeks ahead of time, thinking about it, talking about it on the podcast. We get into the session. We're doing shopping. We're prepping even more. Really locking down.
For how long approximately did you guys lock down the plan?
If it was a 4-hour session, I would say probably 2.5 hours.
Talk about
more.
The session was almost 4.5 hours, and for about 3 hours and 15 minutes of it, you guys were planning and buying, and I was staying quiet pretty much the whole time, just letting you guys plan.
And we were running the note, as far as D&D planning goes in session, we were kind of killing it.
Oh yeah,
we were sitting there, we were dividing up the money. If we buy this item, we can afford this one. This one will optimize our strategy to infiltrate this area. Or we had everything going on. We picked the best items. We negotiated. We still had money left over for extra stuff. We found this little side quest thing where we got extra quests to get some extra goodies. Before, everything was going super well. We get to the castle to infiltrate, and our plan gone. That's it. That was it. Everything we had done for the whole week or two of hype, all the planning, all the shopping, we get there and it goes out the window. The items that I'm talking about that we purchased, the super cool magic items, we didn't use but one of them. And so now that it's happened, we're talking about how we're going to do this again. So we now have to re-infiltrate the castle.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane.
So can I say from my perspective, right? We get into this massive session. I have been prepping it for a long time. I did more prep than I normally do. Normally I do maybe an hour or two of prep. I probably spent 3 or 4 hours making the map perfect, placing all the tokens where I wanted them, thinking about different scenarios you guys might get yourselves into. Where are you going to come in from? You literally have grappling hooks, a bunch of different spells. You can come in from anywhere. You cast, a spell like clairvoyance or locate object and know exactly where to go early on. And you guys were talking about it, and I hadn't thought about clairvoyance, and I was like, oh, geez, I guess they could do that. And I was like, oh, I thought a big reveal was going to be that the bag is no longer, some of your stuff that you left behind is no longer where you left it. Okay, well, I guess they're going to know that really early on. The second you guys approached this building, now, I will say, we had players do some amazing, RP in the session. Some amazing, some great RP, some really good hype moments where you guys are passing persuasion checks and stuff. You get let into the big lair by the guards because you were just doing such a good job and being so convincing. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. They're doing a really good job. And then the second you entered the lair, just nothing but shenanigans and stuff, no communication, nothing. And for some players, because I did communicate with almost everyone, except for, I think, 1 or 2 players that I knew for a fact had the time of their lives. Because of the reactions they were having during the session. But I reached out to you, because I was like, hey, dude, I know your character, who's a barbarian, did not get to do a lot in our mostly roleplay session. I apologize for that. Also, A, B, C, D. And you were like, no, you had your hands full, man. I get it. And then, but still good session. Because one of our players told me, they were like, hey, this is going to be something that's tough for me to talk about because I did not have a good session. And I was like, oh God, this has never happened. It's been 8.5 years and no one's told me that we've ever had a bad session. And so in my mind, I'm thinking immediately, okay, well, I need to figure out what the problem was. So I talked to him for a little bit and got to the bottom of what his issue was. And it was mostly that, one, his hopes and dreams of all the plan stuff got stomped on as soon as he walked in, and it wasn't of his own agency. Because as upon going in there, decisions were made that weren't in line with the plan. And so he got very irritated early on in the session. And so I immediately was like, okay, I don't want to text about this. I'm just going to call and talk about it on this long drive that my wife and I had to do anyways. I was like, I'm just going to call and talk about it. So I called, and for probably like 45 minutes, we just chatted about like, okay, how are you feeling about this? And what can we do to make it better? And some advice I want to give to anybody else who might have, a problematic session or player or anything like that, because we have no problematic players. But I do think it's good to air out problems and bring forward ways to communicate them, because I have no problem, as just texting the group and being like, hey, this thing is bothering me. But for a lot of people that can be an issue. So I think if you do have a session like this where you're like, that didn't go as well as I think it did, message your players and make sure they're okay. Make sure they're feeling good about it, and then let the whole group know, because I do believe we got to the point where he is going to let the group know how he felt about the session, and that he wants to do better this time. So how do you feel about that? Because and what are your thoughts on it afterwards? Like, how was your enjoyment of it? And then how do you feel about one of us not having a good time during it? Because that's never happened, I don't think.
Well, I want to say that we've been playing forever, and we're a very close-knit group, and even the best tables will have a session or two where it doesn't go well or you played poorly. I feel like I'm a pretty good D&D player.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty strong. And there are moments that I think back to all the time and go, oh, that was cringy, man. Why did I do that? That was so dumb. Like, it got someone killed, right? So this stuff happens, and this is not a big deal. But, in the heat of the moment, I did actually enjoy the session. I had fun. I had as much fun as I, do playing D&D. This is what I love to do. I enjoy being here, right? And I don't think it was until afterwards or towards the end of the session when I had kind of sat down and thought, I really didn't do a whole lot today. There wasn't a whole lot of action kind of going on here, or the action that was going on was kind of more chaotic than usual. So, to be very clear, I had fun. I will always have fun playing D&D. Even a terrible session is fun for me. That's just because that's how I enjoy D&D,
Yeah.
right? But it was definitely one of those sessions where it was a little hard to swallow towards the end, going like, what just happened? Like, we could have done 80 things better. And everyone has those, like, it's whether it be a dungeon or a boss fight. If I had just made that one decision differently. We had a character recently that had died in the game. And we've talked about this, where it's like, it was just, there were so many things that went wrong, or so many things that could have went better. It's kind of like that, right? And I'm excited to do it again. I hope it goes better. I really do. I'm going to have fun, even if the rest of us get arrested. And that's it for all of us, I guess, as far as the game goes and Spelljammer. But no, I really do hope we give it a better crack this next time. We come, freshly rested. We got some drinks or snacks, whatever we need, and we hit this hard. That's kind of what I thought about it.
Yeah. No, I understand. Okay, that brings on the second part then. With one of the players feeling not great about the session, like, I don't know, what do you think the group can maybe we should, what kind of intervention things should take place during the session to avoid that from happening? Because that's what I was thinking about, is like, okay, what can I watch out for this next time? Because in the heat of the moment, one, I had adrenaline going, right? I'm not paying attention to anything but, okay, what decision am I going to make next to either reward them for doing good or punish them for being absolute buffoons? So, like, what am I going to do next? And then beyond that, I don't know. I just want to know what I can do to stop that from happening, because I want to make sure that these players, like, I want you guys to have full agency, but whenever a really, really dumb move is called, I wonder if interrupting and being like, are you sure about that is a good call or not?
It's such a mixed bag. It really is, because I think there are times where you need to step in, right? but there's also times where you need to just kind of let the bowling ball go down the hill and see what it hits, right? I kind of expect it to be more like that.
Yeah.
The second option, just based off how long we've been playing, right? I don't think we need a lot of warnings of like, hey, this is going poorly, or like, hey, this is turning lethal, whatever it may be, right? You're making a very poor choice right now. Are you aware of that kind of vibe, right? And like I said, I've played with a lot of new players. It happens, and sometimes you need to push it. Like, are you really sure you want to do that? I don't expect it as much from you. Maybe you could have done something at some point in the session, said like, hey, are you sure? Like, why don't we take a breath? Let's take a little 5-minute, right? I think maybe that might have been a good idea, like a little break or something. But we're all adults here. We've been playing with each other for years. Let it roll, man. I mean, and one of us got arrested. Maybe one of us will die. Maybe more of us will get arrested. I don't know.
So I do want to say I talked to Zach a bit extensively afterwards too, where I texted him and I was like, hey, without like any prompting, I was just like, hey, how do you feel about like last night and how everything went? This was the next day. And he goes, dude, I had the time of my life. He was like, I had the best time. And I was like, really? I said, really? Because I'm talking to someone and they're telling me that they really struggled to like have a good time, and they're still that they're still thinking about it the next day in like a bad light. And I was like, ooh, that's bad. And he was like, no, it's been a long time since everything has gone up in flames like that. He was literally like, he said, I can't wait to redeem ourselves and get through this, because it's going to feel so much better after what happened yesterday.
I think then just comparison, right? Maybe it was just poor timing, because I too love a dumpster fire of a session.
Right.
It's fantastic. Maybe it was just the fact that it was such high stakes and we had spent so long planning, and that went poorly. Especially, like I said, we lost a player recently,
right?
Our character. So, maybe there's a pattern of things going poorly recently that we need to.
I mean, that time was all dice rolls, but this specifically, like, correct. I designed to do that to you, like if you weren't smart about it. So I think that was the hard part to swallow, was everybody was like, wow, this is so much fun being in the middle of a dumpster fire, while I think the other player was like, we were told repeatedly that this was going to be extremely serious. How do we come back from it? I do think that's a little
connection to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as like the level of fire to me in this session felt very much so akin to a crazy one-off.
Yeah.
Right? And I love a crazy one-off dumpster fire. I think it was just the fact that it was in our main campaign. I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, because typically that doesn't happen there. In almost every one-off, there is a dumpster fire. Like, I would say it's either a dumpster fire for the DM, who, like, you go into their encounter that they put together and just wipe the floor with it. I think we've done that to many DMs lately. We have done that repeatedly. I think to Patrick and Chase, we have repeatedly just gone into their things and gone, who's this guy? Round 1, dead. Get out of here.
It's still hard to balance, man. But I understand the pain. The amount of times I've built up a character or like a villain, like, oh yeah, he's going to be so badass. He's going to be strong. He's going to wipe out like 3 of them, and then it just absolutely gets wiped. Like he did maybe 5 points of damage to Zach, and that was it.
And one other thing I wanted to bring up was consequences for actions, right? So we were in the middle of the session, and I was thinking a lot about, like, okay, I need, because I told you whenever we were planning it and we were talking on the podcast, I told you I planned for this building, the place that you guys are going into, to be constantly moving and reacting to what you do in it. Like, I had ideas for things that might pop up, that might happen, and I was like, as they act, I will react. And there was a certain moment when, actually it was a certain moment that the same player did twice. And they walked up to a group of people and they said, hello, I don't belong here. And this was a like 10-minute RP session between me and this player. And he basically looked at these high-ranking people who he didn't know at all, barely even ask their names. He heard their names in passing because he didn't talk to them. He only talked about himself. And then he basically said to them, hi, I am suspicious.
It was very, very suspicious.
And then I had him even roll just to see if there was a chance that it would pass through, and it did not. It was like a very middling roll on a very bad role play. And so I was like, hi, I'm suspicious. And these people were like, you're suspicious. And they left. And then moments later, surprise, the person in charge walks in.
What? Those are related? No way.
Those things are related. And I was like, oh, this is a good consequence, because everybody seemed like, oh, this is bad, because it was bad. And then proceeded to like kick everybody out of the dungeon. After that, the same player walked into a room, followed what another player said to do, and set a fire in said room. And then right after that, a guard walked up and was like, what happened here? And he said, again, longer RP. I'm not going to go into exactly what he said, but he basically raised his hand and said, well, I did this, sir. And then
he did.
And then he got arrested, because that's what would happen. And I felt bad because everything leading up to that point just had kind of pushed you guys back a few steps. And then I felt like my hand was forced as the DM to arrest somebody. It was like
absolutely
100% forced, where I was like, I have to do this now. Like I have to either kill him or arrest him right now.
And, I think killing him, obviously is an option, right? Little like outlier, but there is a point in the game to maintain the sort of realism or the storytelling of a D&D that you have to lay down the law, right? If you don't, if it gets so bad where it's just super dumpster fiery, I'm not even talking about this session, just in general. If it gets so dumpster fiery and there's no consequences, I think it takes away from the fun of the game, 100%. If we had gotten through the whole encounter and none of us were arrested and none of us were, I don't know, beaten. The one guy seemed like he was tortured people. Maybe we got into something like that. I don't know. If something hadn't happened, I would have questioned it. Like, Seth, what? You let us get away with that, man? Really? Like, what else can I get away with? So I think you actually made the right decision. The only other thing, you were talking about kind of implementing some sort of, are you sure about this? I think your optimal time in the game, if you were going to do it, I'm not even saying it was the right call, would have been right there where he was admitting to the crime to say, are you you're this? I'll let you retcon what you just said for the last 2 minutes. Try it one more time.
The thing is, the thing about that is, I know this player extremely well, right? We've had this conversation before, you and I, between the two of us in college. I know this player so well that I know if I ask that question, he'd go, yes, that's what I say. So there is no reason for me to say that.
You're correct. Just to toss another player into the ring, we're talking about Zach here. Zach's roleplay, I think in this session, as terrible as this session went, his roleplay for like the first 15 minutes, flawless.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh my god.
I want you to know, you guys were not supposed to get in the front gate.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't going to let you in. Why would they just let these people who walked up in? And they're just complete strangers. But he was so convincing that I was like... I was like, I have to let him in. Like, and he rolled, I think, above a 20 with the persuasion. Like, he rolled that well because I gave him an advantage because he was in the disguise. And he did so well with it that I was like, okay, yeah, no, he can go in. Of course he can. Yeah. I meant for you guys to have to like infiltrate and use disguises to kind of get your way through to whatever location you need to, like kind of like slide in where you're not expected to be, but like be able to pass as a person that works there or something. I didn't plan on you guys to be able to just like freely walk into the dungeon. But yeah, he said it well enough that I was like, okay, sure, I'll let you in.
Knowing that in hindsight of how you had kind of planned it, I just want to give him even more props because it was mind blowing the crap he was pulling out of his butt to just make it work. And there even came a point, and I'm glad we're talking about this, where you had basically stopped making us roll for some of these persuasion checks. And I shouldn't say us. There was only a couple of us like really speaking. I'm a -1 charisma barbarian. I'm not going to be doing the speaking. Clearly, that's not my role here, right? But the people that were speaking and getting us through, you stopped having us roll because it was so convincing that I as the DM would not have had us roll either. There was if you're doing so exceptionally well out of game describing your social encounter, I see no reason for you to roll.
Right.
Clearly, you're charismatic enough, unless of course, let's say maybe you have I don't know, 6 charisma, and somehow you're doing really well, I'd probably still make you roll for it. Might be a weird reason that you'd be doing that. I don't know. But I loved the fact that you kind of pulled back and were letting us kind of work through it. That was a really good move.
I didn't make you roll again until the other player talked to those people in such a poor way that I was like, would you just go ahead and give me I don't even remember which one I did. I think it was persuasion. It's either persuasion or deception or something.
I think it was persuasion because he was being fairly truthful. It was like lying while stretching the truth kind of a vibe.
Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, go ahead and roll persuasion. And then he did poorly, and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Which is funny because I, as a long time player in your games, I think one of my weakest links of me is just talking to important people. Like I would say I'm 10 times wittier in real life than I am in D&D, and I don't know why that is. And I've had some good moments for sure, but I definitely struggle and am intimidated by the fact that I may be in the lead or, be deciding the fates of everybody else by talking to the dragon that might eat us any second, right? Zach thrives under it, absolutely kills it. And I was sitting there in the, not the kitchen area, but the dining, lounge room. And one of the characters had went up to the council members, and I was like, I wanted to pull my hair out of my head. It was it was stress inducing for me.
So something I said to the person who was upset with the session is I didn't quite. You guys usually do this whenever you walk into spaces, and maybe it's a habit that should be broken. You guys normally fan out and talk to everybody, right?
Yes.
And this was a scenario where fanning out was horrible because you were going to have to make checks on all these people while you were talking to them because you're in magical disguises they can possibly see through. So that was the hard part for me, where I was like, I saw you guys fan out and I was like, oh, this is kind of one of those moments where you should sit down and cast all your spells and get your plan together now that you're in the building, and then talk to the people you need to, right? Or let someone approach you. But in this exact moment where you guys all fanned out and we're just like, oh, I'm just going to walk in and go talk to the important people in the room, that's when it became tough to just let everything get away with. Because why, if a group of people come in together and immediately fan out in a room full of important people, what do you think about that?
It definitely makes it tougher. It absolutely does.
It looks a little suspicious, right? If a group of, say, 5 or so people just walk into a room and say, we're going to split up now and go on all different places in the room, you would think these people would all sit at the same table.
Which, as a funny point, the earlier in the session or the session before, where we were talking about kind of infiltrating this area, not even to the planning phase yet, we were trying to find our way in, and we run into that woman at the bar, and we're like, yeah, we need to talk with this woman discreetly. So she walks around the back of the tavern, and then one of us walks out, and we're all like, guess we're gonna go too. And slowly all of us funnel our way to the back. It was so funny. It's just the idea of trying to be incognito, and then everybody's blatantly walking out, making themselves noticed was hysterical.
Yeah. I think as a player at a table, it's fun to think about those things when your DM is thinking about it, because a lot of times those things just fly right in a session where, oh well, yeah, we're all just gonna follow outside. We're all just gonna do this because that's what if you're playing an RPG, nobody cares if you just walked in and 2 seconds later turn around and walk out to go do your quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this specific scenario where I designed everything and I was like, I'm going to be thinking about all this stuff, then that's where it becomes important, where I'm like, oh, you know what? I wanted to feel a little bit more alive. It would look weird if in a random tavern, a group of people walked in, got drinks, and 2 seconds later all turned around and walked out behind the barkeep at the same time.
And all these people look very different from everybody else. This is an astral elf town.
Yeah, it's
right?
a whole city just full of nobles.
People. Clearly not nobles, sticking out like a sore thumb. It was pretty cool.
I did make sure in the session to point that out as many times as possible. Like, hey, literally every time you guys ran into guards, they stopped and talked to you. Like, why are you guys still here? Get out. Go. You were told to leave.
That's a good little bread. I hadn't even thought of it like that. I thought of it as putting the pressure on for the infiltration, but that was breadcrumbs. It was like, hey, just so you know, you look different. People are looking at you. You got eyes on you.
Yeah. So okay. that was our big important session that became a dumpster fire. And I know we talked about it very vaguely, but I think the important thing to get from this is to listen to your players, talk to your players, get kind of how they feel about the session, and mediate as the best you can, because that is your job as the DM. Sadly, is you're not only running a fun game for everybody, but you're making sure everyone had fun. And I think that's a big safety measure for the game, because it's important to me, having done this for you guys for so long, that, you know, I feel like entertaining at the table like this is my favorite thing to do every week. So I like for it to be a good time, and it's important to me that it's a good time, even though we're all just like hanging out. So when someone tells me, hey, I can't really discuss this with everybody at the moment because I'm still fuming, I'm like, oh, geez, okay. That's rough.
It happens. But the important thing is to have these decompression conversations that we're talking about, right? To which case, I do have a question for you. And I think I'm just going to agree with you here. I think I know where you're going to say, but I think this is important to mention. If you had to choose about which one is more important, would you say it's more important to talk about the positive sessions or the negative sessions? And of course, they're both important in their own right? Depending on how you do it, maybe it's a texting afterwards or a chat like you had, right? Which one do you think is more important, and kind of why?
So I'm an extremely anxiety-ridden person, right? I think every session I run is the worst session that I've ever run. Like, no, full stop. Every time we finish a session, I go, damn, that sucked. And then I think about it later and I feel a little bit better. But that's about how I feel after every session. So I love hearing the positives as much as I possibly can. I like to hear those, but it's so much more important that we talk about the things we can fix. Like, I think it's so much more important for the enjoyment at the table that we bring up the things that are problems, because if we just let them sit there for a long time, which we have done with players in the past, everybody talks about it behind that person's back for a long time. And then when it gets brought up, everybody's mad about it because we didn't talk about it beforehand.
Yeah,
I think that's a thing that I've learned over time with it, is like, oh, well, if we just handle it the second that it happens, then the tension can't build up. But if we all text about it in a separate group chat or something about like, hey, Seth kind of did a bad job this week, don't you think? Don't you think he could fix this, and this? And then when I do it again the next week and you guys are all like, we talked about that behind his back this week, and you guys are all pushing up your glasses and like snarky. That's never happened, by the way.
That you know of.
But yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about your sessions afterwards.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys had like a planning group chat, but I know you don't. I know you don't, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was one that was like, hey, we're going to talk about our plans over here. But needless to say, yes, the negative ones are more important to talk about, I think, because they will keep you from having problems mid-session and then having to talk about your horrible session afterwards.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's super important to hit on the good stuff, right? But it's the good stuff. You're having fun. Let it ride, you know? And, if there's something you want to bring up, like, hey, this was so creative, this was so unique, this was, innovative in our sessions, you should do more of that. Or on the negative side, maybe it's like dungeons. Oh, we really hate dungeons, Seth. Like, we're just not feeling it. We got some bunny ears in the background. Nobody can see this, but I think a wild wife Eric came in. But yeah, no, it's super, super, super critical that you talk about this sport stuff. You don't want to let it build. You don't want to let it kind of cascade, snowball down the road, right? Just knock it out at its source, talk about it. And personally, for me, I love talking about it right after the session. Sometimes, you might need a minute to kind of process it and really think about it. And I've definitely done that before and brought information back to you or other players like, man, I can't believe we did that. Or, oh, we should have done this. But right after the session, when it's fresh and prime and it just happened and we're all in a big group still, knock it out. That's my favorite way to do it.
Yeah, I do wish that had happened when the player was feeling that way this past week, but knowing this person, I'm like, they couldn't have done that. There's no way when everybody is talking and joking and having a good time, they could be like, hey, I'm really upset. Because
it could be tough. Yeah.
I know I had so much adrenaline at the end of that session. Like I was so like hopped up on it that like I was laughing. I was making fun of Patrick being like, dude, I don't know why you did this. Like because, that's the thing we do. Like we'll josh on each other about things like this all the time. But yeah, whenever,
okay.
Yeah, and those things are okay, especially with Patrick, who doesn't like really care that much. But like for the other player, when we're all talking and laughing, having a good time, obviously they don't want to interrupt with, I've got bad news, I'm having a bad time.
I hate all of you.
But those things are important. You should feel comfortable to do that at your table. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then I don't know, maybe it's time to find a new table.
I had this one game I was running, and I had planned it out pretty far ahead of time. You know how I am with my notes. I was really, really prepping it up. Had all my index of things I could click on to pull up all my stats and everything. This session went so horribly wrong, completely derailed. We got nowhere near like the second encounter, and most of the players were terrible. But there was one player that came out and shone brighter than the others. It was good old Gamer.
Oh, I knew it.
Good old Gamer. He pulled the crew together. And immediately after he stepped up and said, guys, I'll be the leader here. Let's have a decompression conversation. And we did. We all talked. We had a great time. And in 5 minutes, we speed ran the rest of the session and won. Got all the gold, all the magic items. It was incredible. Good old Gamer. If you want to check out Good Old Gamer, talk to him and see how he's doing. He's in our Patreon, actually. He's one of our top supporters, and you could pop on in and just chat with him. So hop on over and say hi, guys.
Thank you, Good Old Gamer.
But I did actually have a pretty poor session one time that I was running. It was supposed to be a 3-off that I had run previously and had went really well. And I ran it in college with a couple people that I had not run with before, and I think we've talked about this. And it went absolutely nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And I wish that I had taken a 5-minute break and just reconvened everybody and said, like, hey, this is what we got to do. Let's just chat about what's happened so far. Let's take 2 steps back and just kind of re-hit it again. I think it would have been very valuable. I wish I had this conversation 5 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. There were some times in college. One, like when I first started DMing, I wasn't like comfortable having other people who knew about Dungeons and Dragons around. I needed beginners around, right? Like I was like,
oh yeah,
hey, I want only beginners at this table because I don't want any eyes on me while I'm DMing. My old DM came for the first like 3 sessions because he wanted to see how the game was going. He was so excited that he had gotten someone into the game, and now they were DMing their own session. And so he was watching the sessions, and I eventually had to tell him, I can't have you here. It was like 3 sessions in, and I said, hey, I get really nervous when you're here, so can you just not be here? And then he was like, oh yeah, okay. And then he didn't come back. And it was so much better after that. Now, we also had a problem player or two at the table that I didn't really know how to react to at the time either. Where my famous quote, I'm not supposed to die here, comes from is from one of these players. Oh, because they made a dumb decision and I knocked them down in 1 turn.
That's crazy. It's funny to think that far back being intimidated by, I'm going to say veteran or experienced players, because I think there's definitely some reassurance nowadays of, if I could do it all again, I wish I had played with those more experienced players. I wish as a newer DM I had started running the more experienced players, because they would have given you all the stuff you need. They would have given you those comments. They would have had those conversations with you like, hey, this went really well, or this didn't, right? And frankly, I think even if you ran a terrible session, it still would have been a blast because they would have made it fun. Like, they're those types of players, right? The really experienced ones that know how to make things work, make it fun, make it interesting and cohesive for everybody. And if I could do it all again, I think I would. I think I would just run a table of like veteran players or something. Like, tell me what I did, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be a new way to start.
I actually got the chance to do that at convention one time where like 2 of the players were brand new, had never played D&D, and 2 of them had been playing for a long time and were just buddies that wanted to join a random game. So when I was at the convention, the 2 veteran players are the ones that I ended up going to like dinner with that night. But like, I remember sitting there and they were just having the time of their lives. They were interacting with the world, helping out the new players when they needed it, so I didn't have to do it. Like, stuff like that is actually the thing you discount, where it's like, oh, well, and then if the player has a question during the session, they don't have to stop the session. They can just ask the person at the table, which I think is super helpful. There's more of this conversation I want to have, but I want to have it in the post show at patreon.com/Table Talk Friday, where you can get our Patreon exclusive post show that we're going to record right after this. But until then, I do need Dumpster Fire Phil to take me out of this one.
Oh, it's me, Dumpster. There's a fire. Check us out of the post show, I guess. I can't run. There's a fire. That's it.